you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. This is Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you, but doesn't judge you. Not that harshly as the rest of the world, because the rest of the world doesn't like you much, but we definitely want to see you grow, change, improve, and become a much better person. Not like me, but like some of the wonderful guests we have on the show that bring in their stories, their cathartic moments, their lessons of life to help make your life better. And I'm just some idiot with the hosts and stupid jokes. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. He is the author of the newest book that came out May 11th, 2023 for him. It is called Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. Wait, wasn't that the original name of the podcast, The Chris Voss Show? No, I'm just kidding. Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, short stories about friendship, growth, and social misdemeanors. Andy Dietrich joins us on the show today. We're going to get an insight into some of the fun title that he has in the book and what the deets are from Andy Dietrich. See what I did there? Andy was born at an early age and lived a fairly uneventful life in the Black Forest of Germany. At age 14, he and his mom packed their things and moved to Alaska to experience the true meaning of holy shit, it's cold. Isn't it cold there, though, in the Black Forest of Germany? I don't know. We'll find out. At 19, on a sugar high, he enlisted and became one of Uncle Sam's misguided children. He was released early due to good behavior and moved to Las Vegas, where he now spends his time harassing or welcoming the tourists. I feel him. I've lived in Vegas for 20 years. And exercising his second favorite drinking arm. If you come across a wild Andy in his natural habitat, do not feed him attention. He will only come back for more. Welcome to the show, Andy. How are you?
Thank you, Chris. I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am good. I like your title of your book. It's. I'm surprised someone doesn't beat you to it. It's a great title.
I did a little bit of research on Amazon and other places, and the only thing I could find was some random Yahoo had that title or that tagline as like a bumper sticker, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna use that because I like it.
I like it. Life. It pretty much explains life in general, I think, for everybody. So give us your .coms actually first. Where
Sure.
can people find you on the interwebs?
Sure. So you can go directly to andysbook.com, andysbook.com. There's a link to the Amazon page right there. There are also some social media links. And if you really want to get in contact, there's a little contact me button there as well. And I do read all the incoming messages. If you want to stop by, drop a line, say hi, tell me how much you loved it, how much you hated it. I read it all, so don't be shy.
Read it all. Check it out and all that good stuff. So give us the 30,000 overview. What's inside the new book?
Sure. So it's broken into two pieces. The first half is what I call silly stories. We can get into some of the actual stories here in a bit. Life experiences, life lessons. Like I said, silly stories that I've experienced in a more lighthearted theme. There are some serious moments in it. I do some rather unsavory things, right? Maybe not quite illegal, but definitely pushing the bounds of what could be considered legal. And then the second half is a lot more introspective, right? I go off on a couple of rants. I have some unpopular opinions that I share with the reader, some realizations, some other more serious topics, right? Not to say that the first half isn't serious, but the second half definitely has a little bit more, like I said, introspectical themes to it.
So would you say it's kind of a memoir and a collection of great stories from your life?
Yeah, it's autobiographical for sure. And then I just share my other thoughts in the second half of it. Yeah.
Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. What made you choose that title? It's a fun title.
I think the title really kind of symbolizes the entire theme of the book, right? Don't take life too seriously. You're not going to get out of it alive anyway. Take it with a lighthearted approach and make some bad decisions. I think if you live in a bubble where everything is perfect, you're going to miss out on all of life, what life has to offer.
Make some bad decisions, people. Of course, some of you are better at it than others. So I've seen some of those people. Tell us.
They're on the internet. All right, be mindful of the strangers on the internet
and Facebook and stuff. Yeah. So tell us about your journey through life. How were you raised? What were some of your influences, et cetera, et cetera?
Sure. I was raised to a very loving mother. My parents got divorced when I was too young to remember. My mom pretty much raised me my entire life, and she's taught me all the values that a good mother would teach. You know, a son, then turn into a young man, and then a teenager, right? Or rather in the other order, teenager, then a young man. And she gave me all the tools that I needed to succeed. And then I went off on my own at 19, to your point earlier when you read the bio. I joined up, enlisted in the U.S. military. Then I just started my life and ended up in Las Vegas, and I've gotten my fair share of experiences, made some friends, made some enemies along the way, did heartbreak, got my heart broken, right? So the usual human experience, I would say.
That's typical Las Vegas, I think. Boy, if you're going to experience life, Vegas is the place to do it.
It's got a lot to offer, for better or for worse.
I always tell people, if you have an addictive personality, do not move to Vegas. That is not the place you want to be.
My mother even confided in me sometime after I moved here. She was a little worried about me getting sucked up into the dark underbelly of what Vegas is, right? Because to your point, absolutely. If you have a tendency to get hooked on things in the most negative of ways, Vegas definitely can play into those vices, and you have to be mindful to dabble, but never to stay, in those kind of mindsets.
Oh yeah, it's Vegas is everything that anyone come on. They don't call it Sin City for nothing, folks.
And these beautiful buildings are not built on winners, right? So don't come to Vegas thinking you're gonna make a ton of money. You will not. Let me tell you, okay?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time around people that are like, Chris, I got a system.
Right.
Meanwhile, they pull out of their pocket their loser receipts for gambling that they use for taxes every year, and they got a wad like this fucking thick, and you're like, I don't think you understand how this winning and losing works, eh? You got to win more than you lose. Like they always tell you when they win.
Right, and if you see the someone taking a picture of their, I don't know, whatever, $2,000 blackjack win, you need to ask them how much money have you lost leading up to that, because they'll never tell you that.
They never count that. They always come in and they're like, I just made $4,000 at the bar and sitting on the bar table there and $4,000. And you're just like, yeah, but didn't you lose 20 over the last month?
We don't talk about that. I don't need your negativity right now. Come on, get out of here.
Yeah. And you owe me $1,000. I always had the guys who they had a different day for everyone they borrowed money from. And I would be there Thursday. And they'd always borrow money on Thursday. You knew they were going to call after a while. And they're just like, dude, can I just get some money? And you're like, dude, you're killing me, man.
And you tell them, dude, it's Wednesday. You're a day early. Call me tomorrow.
Yeah. And then they would always pay you back like on Wednesday of the next week or Tuesday. Because they're like, hey, I remember I always pay you back. But then you Thursday, 2 days later.
Guess what? The money that he gets from you is to pay back the guy from the day before, right? It's all they do is just shuffle it around.
But I have a system, Chris. You don't know.
I'm sure you do. They all do. Look, if you really had a system, you wouldn't tell anybody. You would keep your mouth shut and start winning, right?
Yeah. Can you tease out some of the lessons or maybe some of the stories of the book? There's a couple that you cite. Are You Russian? That one time I witnessed a divorce. When you mess it up for everyone. Honeybee did what honeybees do. The night I lost my damn mind. I'll just cue you with some of that and let you.
That's a fun one too. Let me start with the first one. Are You Russian? I think that one sets the tone of the book nicely. So some years ago, I went to a university here local in Las Vegas, UNLV, aptly named, and I decided to join a fraternity. Why? Because Hollywood promised me a good college life, and so I decided at 25 years old, that 25-year-old freshman, to join a fraternity. There was an event happening with the fraternity brothers and then the potential new fraternity members to all get together and do like a many-to-many interview, right? Just to see what the guys are about. It goes both ways, right? You interview them, they interview you, right? Interview is a strong term. You just kind of talk to them and figure out if they're a good group of guys that you want to hang out with. So I sit down, shirt and tie, looking snazzy, and then this brother of this fraternity sits down next to me and he goes, hey, did the initial, what's your name, where you from, yada, yada. Then he goes, are you Russian? And I thought the question was really odd. One, because why would you ask that anybody, right? And I said, no, actually, I'm German. And then he starts laughing his ass off. And he pokes his buddy. He goes, hey man, this guy's got jokes. I asked him if he was Russian. He said he was German, and he starts laughing too. And I did not get the joke whatsoever. So then the guy comes back and he goes, no, seriously, man, are you Russian? And I go, no, seriously, I'm German. I don't know why you keep asking me that. And he starts laughing again, saying that, no, you said the punchline again, right? And I go, look, he finally realized, he looked at me with that look of, okay, he finally realized that I had no idea why that was funny. And he pulls me close. He goes, oh, no, I was asking you if you're rushing. I go, I don't know what that means. He goes, oh, rushing is the process by which you join or try to join a fraternity. You're rushing a fraternity. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Yes. Okay. Yes, I am rushing. I'm rushing the fraternity. And then afterwards he says, why did you think I asked you if you're Russian? I go, I don't know. It made no sense to me either.
Yeah. I had a guy do that to me. I was interviewing for a job, and I made it past the second interview, and I was meeting with a regional manager, division manager or something for region. And so it was, it was go time. It was like, on or off. If you don't pass this interview, but if you do, you got the job. And he said, they wanted me to work from home. And so they're like, do you have a disc? And I was like, do I have a disc? And compact discs had just come out. And so I immediately went to just compact disc land. This was a long time ago, clearly. And so it was like a disc, like a computer disc. And he goes, no, a disc. And I started getting frustrated. And thank God the gal who was going to hire me and interviewing me, she, after about 3 times of him getting really frustrated, she goes, he means a desk, Chris. It's his accent. A desk. Do you have a home desk for your office?
Do you have a desk? Okay.
But he was saying disc. And I was just perplexed, and I was lost in translation.
The same energy as when you have an Australian say the word deck, right? There's something that gets lost in translation there.
Yeah. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. There's the Russian story. What about this? This sounds like a fun story. I don't know if you can give us a teaser on it. The night I lost my damn mind, the unforgettable encounter with medical grade THC and pulled pork sliders. I have to hear at least a little bit of this.
Sure. So a coworker friend of mine, I know I was at this time, let's back up a couple of decades. I was very, very naive, very green, didn't know a lot about extracurricular activities, right? The only vice that I had was drinking at the time. So my coworker friend somehow, somewhere got a hold of these medical grade THC pills. He said he got them from some sort of medical something. I didn't bother asking questions, but he asked if I wanted some. Me being naive and dumb, I said, sure, why the hell not? Not knowing anything. I mean, looking back, I'm like, I should have never trusted a weird coworker friend to get some random pills, right? But hey, I was young, dumb, and it sounded like a good time, right? I took one once with the assumption that I had never smoked weed up to that point. And I thought, cool, I'm going to hang out with a friend of mine. We're going to go to a bar. We're going to have something to eat. If I take one of these now, I'm going to get the munchies by the time I get there. There's going to be food there. And we're going to time this all perfectly. So I'm just going to eat and have a good time with my friend. Okay, that was at least the thought. So, like I said, take this pill. Now, these THC pills take a while to kick in, just edibles, right? Yeah, it's not just a half an hour thing. It could be like an hour and a half until you start feeling it. So, my buddy and I go to a local bar here, and on the drive, as I'm driving, this thing is kicking in, and I'm like, whoa, I'm freaking. First of all, I'm freaking the hell out because I'm going in my mind 100 miles an hour, even though the speedometer says 35, right? But that's beside the point. We finally make it after what seems to be 2 hours in my head. We finally make it to this bar. We sit down, and I'm like, I am hungry. So we sit at the bar. The bartender comes over, and he goes, you're in luck because we have these delicious pulled pork sliders that I'm more than happy to sell to you. Perfect. Give me a whole stack of them. So he brings them over, and I just start inhaling these pulled pork sliders. Okay, my buddy's next to me playing at the video poker game, right? He's having a good time, and we're just having a night out. Right as I'm about to eat the last pulled pork slider, I'm ready to put it in my mouth. The bartender comes around the corner. He goes, "How is everything?" Okay, now I need to. How am I going to explain this? In my mind, keep in mind, what I'm about to tell you just happened only in my head and nowhere else. In my mind, I was under the impression that he told me that these pulled pork sliders was the only food that he would have left for him to eat. That was going to be his dinner, but he's going to share them with me, and whatever I don't eat, he would eat at the end of his shift. Okay. Somehow, somewhere, that thought intruded into my little brain. And when the dude came over and he asked how everything was, I froze and I felt so bad that I was about to eat, in my mind, the last pulled pork slider that was going to be the last of his dinner. And I stopped like mid-bite and I put the slider down. I started apologizing profusely. I told him, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I forgot. What are you going to eat? And the guy looks at me with this look of like disgust and confusion. He goes, what are you talking about? My buddy was even saying, Andy, what the are you talking about? I go, don't you understand? It was the food that he was going to eat and I'm eating the last one and he won't. And my buddy looks at me, he goes, Andy, none of that happened.
What the fuck? So
it was an embarrassing moment, but the lesson learned is never again. These THC pills, never again.
Never again. Yeah. The first time I took an edible, I was visiting a friend, and he'd been smoking pot for years, but I could never smoking pot would never work for me. I have a really high tolerance for everything.
Okay.
Even vodka, drugs, and it's kind of helped me because it's kept me out of trouble. But, it's kept me in vodka. But even then, I half a bottle of vodka to just get lit up like most.
But once you are at that point, I've met people like you before. But once you're at that point, once you're in the non-sober state, you're in it for a while. Is that with you as well?
Yeah. Not too long. It depends on what I'm taking. Like with booze, you're as long as the ride lasts. But I've got to drink a lot of vodka to get really fucking brain dead. Where you're like, this
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So I never taken edibles before. I tried smoking. My friends had tried every which way to get me high smoking. It just would not work. And a lot of stuff doesn't work on me either. The cocaine just gives me like a bad post-nasal drip, and it feels like I have a cold. And
sounds like a waste.
I get like a coffee. It is a complete waste. Like it's just. I used to tell my friends a pot. I'm like, just smoke your pot. I'm going to sip on my vodka, and I'll have a good time. and he gave me. He gets in the car. We're going to go eat over at the what's the place in California, the farmers market, and we're driving over there, and he goes, hey, I got you a cookie. I think this can get you high. And he'd been frustrated because one time I broke up with a girlfriend and I was losing my business partner at the same time and struggling in business. And he tried to get me high, and he spent, I don't know, a whole freaking ounce or $50-$60 trying to get me high. And he'd always been frustrated, he can never get me high. And his tolerance is probably pretty high because he smokes it morning, day, and night. Mm-hmm. And so he gives me this 100 milligram cookie. And he goes, I go, how much of this do I take? And I don't know anything about, getting high.
Oh, no. Okay.
And he goes, hey, you could probably just take half of that. He goes, but I don't know, you're a big guy. You're like 300 pounds and it's always so hard to get you high. You could probably just take the whole cookie.
Yeah.
So a guy who's never taken an edible in his life takes 100 milligram.
That sounds like a lot.
Cookie. It is a lot. Let's put it this way. It takes about 30 to knock me out right now.
Okay.
Put me to sleep for the night. Like if I'm feeling like shit and I take 30 milligrams, it'll knock me out and I'll sleep like a baby all night long. So here I am taking 100 on my first run.
Okay.
And I got fucked up at the Grove. At the Grove, the world started spinning in the middle of.
It's not a good feeling. No, it's the worst.
Yeah, and we're in a wine shop when it kicks in. And there's wine just everywhere that's expensive, just sitting on, boxes that you can knock over. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of this wine shop because I'm about to fall the fuck over and it's going to cost a fortune. And so I somehow find my way out and it's just a nightmare. I end up throwing up I think everything I'd eaten for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And after that, we didn't take edibles for a while, but we finally got back to them.
That sounds like there's a Reddit post from many years ago, and the guy posted, whether it was fake or not, he says, I just took God knows how many, milligrams of edibles, and I can't make it stop. And what do I do? And the top reply was, all you can do is go outside, lay down, and hold on to dear life, and let this be a lesson. Okay?
Yeah, let this be a lesson. You're not going to die. I don't think anyone's ever died of a pot overdose.
I don't think so.
You're going to feel really bad and puke a lot. But let's see. What are some other things that maybe we can tease out there in the book?
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Is this your first book?
Yeah, so this was definitely a side project, like a work of love, right? Kind of the idea was that I think everyone has in their mind the one thing they want to do. Usually it's a creative thing, right? If they want to write a manuscript or paint a painting or, whatever it is, right? Write a book. I know a lot of people talk about it, quite a bit, but I didn't want to be that guy who always talked about his big project, once every couple of weeks, and then nothing ever came of it. We all have that friend, right? Yeah. Who always talks about, I'm working on that project still, man. When are we going to see it? We're still working on it. Okay. Hope that dopamine drip of people nodding their heads is good enough to keep it going, right? Because unless we see the result, it's just vaporware, right? Mm-hmm. So I kept this more or less hidden from almost everyone until it was pretty much done. Just, again, I just want to show that, hey, it's done. I'm not talking about it. It's actually done. So I don't believe there'll be a part 2. Now I say that now if a publisher were to say, look, here's a $50,000 advance for you to write part 2, I think I can, make that work. But I poured a lot, maybe not everything, but I poured a lot into this, right? Like I said, personal stories, some reflections. So I don't know. This was kind of like the culmination of all those side stories and experiences and mini adventures.
You're not done having adventures, so there might be another book in
that's true
10, 20 years from now.
That's very true. You never know.
That's the great thing about life. Once you get that first one done, that really is the hardest thing to overcome, and they kind of become a little bit easier after that.
Like your first million, they say, right? Once you get your first million, the second one is easier, right? You have to get the first one, though.
If you can survive editing on your first book, you're good. I'm still ready to choke the editing department on my first book, but I'm scarred. So Grammarly helped me a lot, right? So if you go through it and you read some of the stories, you'll see that there is an author's note and some of the footnotes. So little fun fact, it's all me. There was no, I'm sorry, I said author's note, I meant editor's note. There was no editor, right? Really? So all the editor's notes are just me having a conversation with myself. One thing I will say, however, Grammarly, running the entire thing through Grammarly has helped a lot. Having friends and family proofread it afterwards has helped a lot. And there were actually some spelling mistakes and some typos that friends caught after the fact. So you have to go back into the manuscript and update it and have Amazon reprint it and everything. So it wasn't perfect the first time around, but right now I think it's at a good place. Yeah, that's a good idea, because having someone else edit it is a real fun experience. And you hand them 50,000 words and they hand you back 10 words, and then we threw all that shit out. Now it's something interesting.
I gave it to my mom to read. She's one of the first people to actually, have read it before it was published. And she said, in the most loving and constructive way, she said, you write the way you talk, which is very much like an English as a second language speaker, right? As a native German-born person that has learned English out of a book and then, through conversation. And she goes, it may behoove you to have an editor who may have a master's in English to go through it and fix, or she didn't say the word fix, but to then work on sentence structure, right, and stuff like that. And I thought about it for a good minute, because it was good, honest feedback. But I thought, no, if you know me and you kind of hear my voice and you know the way that I talk, I want to keep that. I want to still have that somehow on paper. I don't want to separate the writing from my voice to that degree. I kept the grammar and the sentence structure in the way that I saw fit. And looking back, I read it again, I go, yeah, maybe I could reword that. But no, it makes sense the way that I wrote the first time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's the level of readers' educational quality is just getting worse. I mean, I was talking to a couple years ago to somebody who wrote business books, and they go, yeah, it used to be we had to put up like 100,000 plus words for a business book, and now it's just 50 because no one wants to read
attention span. Sure.
Attention span. But yeah, it's hard to find an editor that can write in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to have that voice preserved. And I thought that was bullshit until I was having my book edited by someone who knew me really well and could preserve my voice. And a friend of mine approached me and she goes, I edit books too. If I can help out. And I'm like, I don't like to waste my friends' times.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to pay you, then I'm not going to pay you. But I go, tell you what, here's a page. And why don't you show me, how great you are, and maybe you're better than my editor. I don't know. I guess we'll see. And she was a female, and my editor was female too, but she knew how to write in my voice because she knew. And so I gave it to this other female friend of mine, and she brought it back. And son of a bitch, she had feminized my whole structure of everything.
Interesting.
And it was more about emotions, and it didn't sound like me at all. It sounded like a woman wrote it.
Interesting.
And yeah, it was really, I'm like, wow. Okay, now I see the power of preserving your voice in editing. You know what you're talking about, because if someone else writes it, you know, they can put it goes to their voice sometimes
Through their filter, sure.
Yeah. And even though my editor was a woman, you know, she knew me, so she was able to write my voice, and so when the words came back edited, you know, I was like, that still sounds like me. It was really interesting, the experience.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. Yeah.
I thought it was kind of BS, because I hear this a lot from, you know, authors. You know, they had to go through editing, and you got to preserve that voice, and it's just amazing the different in style and syntax that, you know, other people use that don't have your voice. So
interesting. Okay. Kind of akin to that, I was asked if I was going to do an audiobook, and that may come in the future. And then the kind of, as I mulled this over in my head, I thought, would I want somebody else to read it for me, like a professional audiobook reader? And then I thought, no, I would like to have it in my voice. Again, the benefit of people that know me, that know how I talk and how I sound. I think that the most genuine connection is made when the actual author reads his own work and the listener can connect with that.
Mm-hmm. People love the book. I'm reading some of the reviews. They love it. This is the funniest, most relatable book I've ever read. Laugh, cry, and maybe cringe a little. A fun read, such an enjoyable, funny, and dare say thought-provoking book. There's a young lady, Kelly Hoover, who writes, I got to be honest here, and she's got a funny thing that she does of disclosures. We worked together, and he did not pay me to write this. So
I did not. I will say, though, however, the other day, last week or so, I got my first hater rating. So if you look on there is a, I'm official once you get your first hater, right? So it's it's single 2-star review with no comment. So that to me sounds like a disgruntled ex, because that kind of pettiness that sounds like a girl thing to do. A guy would generally not ever do that kind of a petty move.
I didn't know you could just do stars. I thought you always had to do a review. Like
I thought so too. Yeah, you can just go click and that's it.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I mean, at least
no comment.
2. My haters always give me 1.
I think the extra pettiness, the extra salt in the wound is the 2-star. Because 1 star is like, all right, you're just being disgruntled, but the 2-star is like saying, I give you credit for writing if I still hate it.
You wrote a book. Fuck you.
That's right, old slap, right?
A little jealousy maybe there. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. In fact, I had one guy who was so angry with me over I have a dating group that I run on Facebook, and he was behaving poorly, so we kicked him out of that. He went and wrote 3, I guess he has 3 different Amazon accounts or something, but he wrote 3 1-star reviews shitting on my book.
The amount of work that it takes for you to get out of your way to do that, be like, really? That's the time that you want to spend in your life is to be that, like, petty? All right, fine. Go ahead. Waste your time. Be my guest.
Yeah. They'll do that on the podcast reviews, too. They'll go on the podcast review and go, this is a shit podcast.
Just crap on it because they can. Be like, everyone is mighty brave behind a keyboard, you know?
Yeah. And I'm used to YouTube. We've been on YouTube for 18 years. The podcast's been around for 16. We're used to getting shit slinged at us. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's funny. It's funny when people from some other business aspect of mine that they hate me for, they come over here and they're like, you know, they shit on my other stuff, but you know, whatever, man.
Yeah, I can't make them all happy.
I thought about sharing the love, but you know, hey, the more reviews, the better. Good, better. Yeah. What is the old saying? Bad PR or good PR? It's all good PR.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, right? When you get done reading it, I would appreciate a genuine, and I really truly mean genuine. I would like a genuine review on Amazon. And I tell people, if you liked it, say that. If you didn't like it, say that too. I have thick skin; I can take it. If you absolutely hated it, you can tell me that 1-star hated it. That's fine too. Like, just tell me, be honest about it.
Now it says on the front you're an immigrant. You from Canada?
Germany.
I thought I was picking up some Canada in your.
I get that sometimes, right? Are you Canadian? No, Germany.
Germany. I think
the Black Forest, remember?
That's right. In your bio, the Black Forest. Mm-hmm. So you grew up around BMWs all your life.
Yeah, I grew around a lot of trees, chocolate, and very small town living. It was good. We were kids. We just had a good time. We rode our bikes into the forest trails. We would, you know, I don't know. We were just kids in nature, and it was a good time.
My family came from Germany in the 1800s. We came before the Troubles. We didn't make the Troubles.
Before the incidents.
Before the incidents.
We don't talk about the incidents.
We don't talk about the 1930s. Anyway, yeah, we left in the 1800s and came over here, and probably a good thing we did, because I don't know where we'd be if we'd stayed. But yeah, America.
Funny you should mention that you moved and you missed a lot of the nonsense over there. So I was told by my mom that when the Berlin Wall was being built way, way back in the day, that my grandfather, he knew people. He was within, I can't remember, like the train railroad industry, and he had connections to some people that knew things that were happening. And I guess he was told one night, hey, you need to move, because they were living on the east side of Berlin, and there were some rumblings and some rumors, they were floating around, and he was told by a reliable source, hey, you need to move your family, pack all your stuff tonight, and go westbound by at least kilometers, right? But go westbound at least, some distance, because things are about to change. And he did. And from the story I was told, literally the next day, they started putting up roadblocks. So had that not happened, I probably would have been born and raised on the east block of Germany.
Mm-hmm. That would have been, we both probably wouldn't have been back there.
Yeah.
Maybe some, I don't know.
It would have been a different approach to life. I probably wouldn't be here. Not in a negative, like I wouldn't be alive, but had I not been born on the west side, probably would have moved to the Black Forest, never would have migrated to the States, right? A lot of things would have changed.
Definitely, yeah. And we survived. As we go out, give people a final pitch out on the book to pick it up, where they can order it, and any.com, so they can get to know you better.
Absolutely. If you go, like I said earlier, andysbook.com, all my links are on there. If you would absolutely like a signed copy, if you go to andysbook.com/gift, I still have a few left. I'm more than happy if you trust me with your address, and I promise I will not do anything nefarious with your information. If you trust me with your address, I'm more than happy to send you a signed copy. So again, andysbook.com/gift. And I like to think that the subtitle, Short Stories About Friendship, Growth, and Social Misdemeanors, really kind of sums it up. And I think there's a little bit of everything. Sorry. There's a little bit for everyone in this book, right? Whether you like silly stories or some more serious reflections, right? There's a little bit for everyone in there.
It's been wonderful to have you on. Fun and great stories. People are going to love it.
You.
I love the title. Thanks, Andy. Order up this book wherever fine books are sold, folks. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. Short stories about friendship, growth, and social misdemeanors. Out May 11th, 2023. Thanks, Ron, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikToking, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should